Corey, do you ultimately think if this debate
I know this
informs
guy.
a ballot question on Trump's fitness for office, that is a good thing for Kamala Harris, or do you think it will unfold differently?
A devastatingly bad thing for Kamala Harris, if that's what the referendum is. Look, we've spent 10 years with people litigating, basically that same narrative on Trump.
All right, here we go. I need a haircut.
Democrats right now. Let me play a little bit of the exchange that took place.
In Springfield, they're eating the dogs, the people that came in. They're eating the cats. They're eating the pets of the people that live there. And this is what's happening in our country.
Talk about extreme.
Okay, I mean, I eat a bit of cat too. I guess he's talking about the immigrants. I missed that part.
In this election, I actually had the endorsement of 200 Republicans.
They're eating the cats. I think that's a hard area to sell, but let's go back a bit. Here's something I found interesting.
Man, that 80%, she laid it on him. He took a beating. He was like a giant orange tuna. He snapped at every bit of bait she put out there. And he was incoherent and angry and weaving all over the place. And to me, I'm left with this fundamental question. Could it be that tens of millions of people would watch this debate, watch this performance of Donald Trump, and be unbothered? I believe he had to have lost vote tonight. I don't think she achieved the project I thought she would, but man, I don't think Harris won. I think Trump lost, and I think we're going to see it in the polls. He was undisciplined, incoherent, and I think extraordinarily unappealing.
Yeah. I mean, Trump definitely gets off sometimes and like just goes off on certain things. Like he gets overly aggressive, and you always have to kind of fight with him as the moderators to be we got a lot of ground to cover here, and he's always got to go on. He's got some points to make, but it's like, yeah, sometimes he could hold up a little bit. I mean, there was a rumor on Twitter that popped up during or just after this where apparently she had some kind of insight or some help from people, I don't know, possibly with an earpiece or something, like a wireless mic, giving her some kind of, so she had like a lot of one-ups on them, because I don't know, whenever I see Kamala Harris in any interview, she just seems like a TV actress. She doesn't seem like a politician that's going to get the better of Trump all. I mean, sure, Trump does argue and go off on rants and sort of like tangents at times, and he does repeat a lot of the same ideas about, bigger and better, all that. I got the biggest and the best. The war would have been over in like 5 seconds. I would have gone up to Putin and distracted him with some new Lego toys. Here you go. Just build these Legos. It'll be all better. The biggest and the best. We're going to make America bigger, better, and great again. And also, no more. Okay. Like, I don't know. But yeah, like here, we're going to get to this guy, Corey tonight. I call him Corey Tanaki.
Millions of people have become agnostic to Kathleen over the last number of years, right? That we remember when he was president, all the reactions and everything that happened with the 2020 election, but then you sort of get to remove yourself and nobody's watching the rallies. And this was
people are still watching the rallies.
Reminder of all of that. But to Scott's point, how much of a difference ultimately do you think that makes going forward, or is that sentiment already baked in?
I think it's going to have an impact. I think that sometimes you don't have to win the debate, you just have to make sure your opponent lost. And Trump lost tonight. He was unhinged. Basically, Harris went around the stage setting traps, baited him and belittled him time and time again, mocked him openly. And if this election turns out to be a referendum on Trump, do you like this guy? Do you want to go back to these years between 2016 and 2020? I think the voters are going to say no. And I think she was successful at doing a few things tonight, making this a referendum on Trump. Instead saying, let's go to the future. She used this powerful line saying, I represent a new generation of leadership. I'm not Joe Biden. I am not Donald Trump. Come with me into the future.
All right, 58. Yeah, so no, come with me to the future. She had these lines, that, and I felt that even Biden, not maybe in the last debate, but in the 2020 ones, was still more trying to be the people-friendly person. And we're going to get to that about how popularity may be overrated in terms of a political debate, right? Because most people go in realizing politicians aren't the maybe winning the nice honest person of the year, the Ned Flanders Award, right? And let me think, like, sometimes I have to admit that Kamala Harris, she would be kind of getting off the idea that a lot of people wanted her to be on, about talking about the economy and whatnot, and talking more about herself, trying to, because people don't know her the way they know Trump. She's still new. And this is a big thing for the polls, right? And I think that people said she failed in that area, but she really did good at grilling Trump, like beating him at his own game. And a lot of people were surprised by that, these critics here, or these analysts. And Trump, this is where that theory of Twitter comes. It's a conspiracy theory where she had some kind of assistance as what to say. But sometimes, though, she would go away from that and then get to the people, like, we're going to go to the future. And she'd get all emotional. She'd almost start crying at times. I feel like some of her speeches in the debate sound like Billie Eilish songs. I wonder if we could...
saying, and I think that was really successful. She also redeemed, a lot of New Democrats. I'm scared, not New Democrats, excuse me, my own party, by actually delivering the lines on reproductive choice that Biden just couldn't do. I mean, that was the tragic moment in that debate on June 27th, when he couldn't deliver on the one issue that we know Democrats are rallied around. So I think she didn't do the selling of her story, her biographical story, or really laying out a clear vision on what she would do on the economy. I think this is the weakness that pundits like us will point to, that she really didn't deliver that message home. But she did nail Trump down on the debate floor several times, make him look unhinged, make him take the debate, time and time.
I was going to say that I thought at times Trump was losing the debate, but I really liked his closing statement, like about doing all these things that Kamala Harris is going to do, with climate change and with the border and all these things, and with abortion. That's one of the biggest areas for Democrats. And Trump simply said, you've had 3 years to do this. You're saying you're going to do it now. Why haven't you done it in the last 3? And I thought that was a great closing statement. So even if you think that Trump lost that, I mean, sometimes going out at the end with something good, I thought that was really, really relevant.
Even on things as obvious as crowd sizes.
Okay, let me just play a little bit of that exchange, one of the exchanges that you flagged on abortion, and then Corey, I'll get you to weigh in on what happened during the debate. Let's take a listen.
I have been a leader on fertilization, IVF. And the other thing, you should ask, will she allow abortion in the 8th month, 9th month, 7th month?
Come on.
Okay, would you do that? Why don't you ask me that question?
Why don't you answer the question? Would you
because
veto?
Under Roe v.
Answer
Wade,
the question. Would you veto?
You could do abortions in the 7th month, the 8th month, the 9th
That's
month,
not true.
and probably after birth.
I mean, it's not true that you can do an abortion after birth, and I think the moderator fact check. But putting that aside for a second, to the point that Scott and Kathleen are making, Corey, do you ultimately think if this debate informs a ballot question on Trump's fitness for office, that is a good thing for Kamala Harris, or do you think it will unfold differently?
A devastatingly bad thing for Kamala Harris, if that's what the referendum is. Look, we've spent 10 years with people litigating, basically that same narrative on Trump. And if that was the path to victory against Trump, you would, you wouldn't be having him on the stage and ahead in the polls, in terms of the states that matter the most. I just don't think it's sufficient. She went into this debate with basically a third of the electorate not knowing much about her, and at the end of the debate, I don't think she enlightened where she's coming from to anyone particularly. When she tried to get into those sections of the debate, it was just a word salad of pre-rehearsed material, poorly.
Look at the faces of the two girls and the guy on the right. He's just like, he looks like a young William Shatner, like midway through a party, just enraged on alcohol and something else. I don't know. But the two at the top, the one girl's like, she's got this sort of like slutty, she looks pretty hot, slutty, curious, and confused look. And the other girl's like, like they just get to get more sour and more sour. It's kind of funny. Like, what? But no, I mean, it's like, not winning a popularity contest. He's going to talk about that. And of course, like the third of the left don't even know her anyway. She doesn't introduce herself, but okay, aside from that, yeah, I still think she's gonna pick up some popularity in this and win some votes for this. Honestly, it's still gonna happen, but I don't think it's gonna move the polls and the end ultimate votes the same way that people are thinking it should based on their opinion of this.
And then the rest of the time, it was treading on well-trodden ground around the Trump record. And look, I think probably most of the people watching this at home, and myself.
Oh man. Okay, he ends up saying most of the people at home they think Trump is not the most nicest guy in the world and he's repugnant and everything, but that's not what's going to win an election. Although it probably could help, I would say. I'm not as. That's where you got to be like Corey tonight and say, let's just take a step back. Oh man, like my cell phone, it cuts out, it stops recording volume sometimes within a minute or two or a lot of the end of the recording. I don't know here. Hold on, I'm gonna pause for a sec.